Welcome to Food, Wine, and Whiskey, a podcast about having fun conversations on tasty dishes, vinos, and spirits from around the world. Rob is your host. He is an avid home chef, WSET Level 2 award in wine, and a whiskey drinker and collector. Time to set the table. Here's Rob.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming by and listening to another episode with us. This is our first show as we flip the calendar and hit 2024. We're actually recording this on January 1st, New Year's Day. And I say we because I do have somebody joining me on this episode, and you just heard her lovely voice. Somebody who just begs me and asks me all the time, can I please be on? Can I please be on? So here she is again. My lovely wife, Sandra. How you doing, babe?
Good. Happy New Year.
Why are you laughing?
Well, I'm not always begging to be on.
Well, don't tell everybody that. You need to be like, thank you, honey. Finally,
yes,
I get to be back on here. So, like we said, this is New Year's Day 2024, and Happy New Year to everybody who's listening to this episode. This is going to be kind of a recap show, and we're going to kind of turn the tables. Let Sandra kind of drive some of the conversation. I'll answer some questions, kind of covering 2023, kind of what we did, what we enjoyed, what got us really excited about the different categories that we cover on the podcast, food, wine, and whiskey. And then we'll talk a little bit about going into 2024 and kind of where the path is for us in each of those categories and kind of some of our goals and things like that. And
right.
Hopefully make it a fun conversation.
I hope so.
But before we get started, let me give a huge thanks, just a really big thank you very much to all of our listeners. We are very, very blessed, very thankful that we have our audience. We appreciate you all very much for always checking in and listening to the episodes. And I'm always amazed at the different parts of the world that I can see and go, man, we got downloads in this country, in this country. It's just crazy to me that doing this, because I just have such a huge, passion and love for food, wine, and whiskey, to know that the reach can be around the globe like it is.
It's amazing.
It's crazy to me. But on that note, huge thank you. We really, really appreciate you all so much, more than you can know. So.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
All right.
And continue listening.
Yes, please do. So this is kind of a recap show. We're just going to kind of go through some categories. And I think, food, wine, whiskey, I think you made the suggestion. Start with whiskey?
Yes. Well, as we're sitting here, I thought I'd throw a little curveball at you.
Fire away. I can hit the curveball.
Well, I was going to ask you, I know you do food, wine, and whiskey, but you also dabble in coffee.
Man, and that came later, so we started the podcast in 2019.
Right.
And at that time, I drank coffee like a lot of people drink coffee. It was more for that jolt in the morning. And it wasn't until 2021, 2 years into the podcast, right, that I really had a gentleman come on, Tyler Martin, who exposed me to what coffee really can be. Mm-hmm. So, yes, to answer your question, I do on occasion now love to do shows on coffee.
Right. So we have added that to the places we visit. Not only are we now looking at restaurants when we go places to visit, and wine shops and liquor stores for the latest and greatest, whiskey. I'm not very familiar with all of those things, but we have added coffee roasters.
Yes.
So
coffee roasters and just cool coffee shops.
Cool coffee shops. And we've encountered quite a few, and very different ones from all over places that we visit. And so have you found a place or a coffee roaster outside of your normal that we have here in our area that you've enjoyed coffee from and would like to go visit again? Or
well, there's a few roasters here in town that I really enjoy. And a lot of times roasters are part of a coffee shop, so they're a coffee shop, serving coffee to the public, but also roast their own beans. The two I would say who are probably the top two on my list that I really, really enjoy are purely roasters. They don't have a shop where they serve you coffee. Number 2 on my list would be Purify. Chris is the owner over there. They do a fantastic job. He's really good at the art of roasting beans, and he gets in some beans from really cool places from around the globe. And then just slightly beating them out would be Alex over at Global. Global Coffee. Excuse me, not Global. District.
District.
Take that out. Would be Alex over at District Roasters. Man, he does a really good job. What I like about Alex, too, we're in Houston. Pretty wide, what I should say is pretty spread out city. And so to drive to get my coffee from him, it takes probably a good 45 minutes to get over there and 45 minutes back.
Okay.
But he's cool because I can just get online and order, and for $5, they're here the next day or the following day, depending on the time and when it gets shipped. But love that about them, that I can get my beans within 2 days, and it's freshly roasted. It's roasted on the day you order, and it's shipped out either that day or the next morning, so you get it within 2 days.
Okay, so speaking of beans, because you don't like to buy them ground already. You like to grind your own beans because you've dialed into how you like to grind your beans.
I like that you dial in the beans.
I listen to the show.
Good for you. And let's preface this by saying you're not a coffee drinker.
I am not a coffee drinker.
So if you think Sandra's benefiting from this, she's not.
I am not. I am not a coffee drinker. I don't drink coffee. I love the smell of coffee when it's being brewed. I love it. But I do not drink coffee. What I'm looking forward to for 2024, which we'll talk about later, is maybe teas.
Okay.
So that I would go
happy to go down that rabbit hole with you, honey.
I know you will. But okay, so as far as beans, you like the beans, not ground already. So is there a certain bean that you really enjoy, or are you looking for a different type of bean?
Well, the bean is usually the same species, Arabica.
Yeah.
Beans,
okay.
And then there's the Robusta.
Okay, but I guess places.
It's more
regions.
Yeah.
There we go. Regions.
Yeah, I mean.
What has been your favorite region?
Oh, man, I will tell you one that has stood out for me, and I've gotten beans from this country multiple times in the last few years from different roasters, and always been really, really good, is Mexico.
Okay.
Really good beans. But then there's those classic regions that everybody wants to get beans from that they're known for coffee. Colombia would be one. Costa Rica is one. Yemen, and anywhere in Africa is always good. Ethiopia, places like that. But sometimes, like in wine or whiskey or cuisines of the world, it's fun to find places that you've never heard of and go, wow, they really do cool stuff here. So Mexico kind of fell into that category for me, because when I first saw it pop up on Alex's website, I didn't even know coffee was grown and produced in Mexico. Did you know this?
No, I have no idea.
And so when I saw
I just think Colombia.
Well, there you go. You like Folgers, Colombian roast, French roast, whatever. Okay. No, but so when I saw that, I said, let me try it. And it was fantastic. And over the last 2 years, I've found it at multiple different roasters, and all have done a great job, which tells me the quality of bean that comes from Mexico is really, really good. So I've really, really enjoyed the coffee from Mexico.
Okay. Is there a place or a region that you really want to try that you haven't tried? Or Yemen. Okay.
Yeah, I know that. I think if I'm not missing this, I think it's the birthplace of coffee, or one of the very early places that coffee was kind of drunk there. So it's a place, with that kind of that long history and that heritage, for growing and making beans to brew coffee, is absolutely a place I would like to try.
And that's one you haven't, but you want to try.
I haven't yet. Yeah.
Okay.
There's been a few places where I've seen it on their website, and then when we've gone in, they're always like sold out. So I've never gotten the opportunity yet. But it's on my list. Hopefully in the next year or so, I'll be able to find it from. And I'm sure if I looked way harder, I'd be able to find it. I haven't been out like hunting it. It's just, if I run into it, I'm looking forward to trying that when I can.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And let me see. What else was I going to ask you about coffee? So I know you like a certain roast type. Has that changed?
And you mean
from the beginning?
You mean roast journey? Level?
Okay. Yeah. Roast level.
Yeah. So no, I'm still kind of in that light to light medium kind of roast profile.
Do you want to change it up or?
No. There's nothing that's happened so far. I mean, the darker you go, the more you're cooking out the actual, flavor, the natural flavors in the bean.
I should know this.
So yeah, if you said you listened. So no, I mean that's the profile I like. And then to the comment you made earlier about dialing it in, when you get a light roast, a light medium or a medium roast, it's about coming home and being able to play with that grind. And then, because people who may not know, you can grind the bean at a different setting slightly, and it will change kind of that flavor profile that comes out in the cup. And so part of the fun of drinking coffee when you get a new bag from somewhere is what you said, dialing it in,
right?
Playing with it a little bit. When you hit that sweet spot, then that's where, for what your taste is, it's very subjective. It's what you like.
Right.
For the rest of that bag, that's where I'm got it dialed into, and I'm going to enjoy that coffee that way. And me, at the coffee bar, underneath, I've always got 5 to 7 different bags of coffee because I like to, each morning just change it up a little bit.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was sweet and easy. I thought I'd throw that little curveball at you with the coffee.
I like that you did, because I agree with you. Well, I don't want to get too far ahead, but I would like to see more coffee content on our podcast. So hopefully that'll come a little bit more in 2024.
And if any listeners are out there, if there's a place he can get Yemen coffee, please let us know. Drop a note. He would love to try some.
Yeah, and I would take that a step further and say if there's just any kind of online roasters, because I know that the roasting community online has grown significantly. If there's great roasters that from around the globe that you would recommend, send that as well, man. I'd love to get some coffee from some really cool places.
Well, I feel there's a lot of coffee shops opening up now than I've ever seen before. I don't know if it's because we're now more exposed or know more about coffee that we're seeing more, or if they're just becoming more popular where people are wanting to get the beans and the roasters and doing that type of their own coffee.
I think a lot of it is because, in today's world, everybody wants quality, right? Everybody wants to know, they want a really good product, and they want to know where it came from. How is it handled from where it came from to where I'm getting it? And a lot of roasters now and coffee shops are doing a really good job of, they go to the places to source their beans green and then bring them back, and they promote that, and rightfully so. But I think also people are taking things, that we enjoyed years ago, society enjoyed years ago, just without thinking about it. You think about coffee 50 years ago, your grandma and grandpa just made a pot every morning, never thought about it. It was Folgers, it was community coffee, whatever it might be. Meals, a lot of times it was a TV dinner, right? They'd go to the store and the TV tray, and you'd get that Salisbury steak with the peach cobbler in there, and you were happy. And that was it. You didn't think about it. You just needed something to eat. Now everybody wants to fully, in my opinion, fully enjoy the experience of a cup of coffee, a good meal, a glass of wine, a whiskey. And so trying to get that bang for your buck, the best quality product for the money you're spending, is what everybody's looking for, and coffee's no different. I think there's a lot of parallels between coffee and like wine and things like that. And so, yeah, to your point, they've popped up a bunch all over the country, which it's very competitive, but it's also for the consumer who enjoys it and is kind of in that rabbit hole. It's pretty cool. I mean, as we travel, and golly, you're sweet enough that when you travel without me, you find a coffee shop and you'll stop and buy me a couple bags. So
my family already knows.
Yeah, they're traveling. They're like, hey, we're at a coffee shop. You want me to get you a couple bags? And yeah. So I love that about it, that you can go anywhere, small towns, big towns, and you can find a coffee shop that you can probably get coffee, a bag of coffee roasted there from them, which is pretty cool.
Exactly. And it's always nice to try different places and how different people roast their beans, you know. So,
and if you're interested in coffee, I would tell you, go to our library, look up episode 58. Mm-hmm. That is the episode where we talked about how to make a great cup of coffee at home. Tyler Martin and I get into the equipment you need, talk about the beans, the grinder, and we actually do a cupping through 5 different coffees that we taste through, and kind of the profiles that you can get from different coffees. It's
right.
Great listen if you're going, kind of want to get into coffee. That would be an episode I would recommend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, number 58.
Yes. I love that. Okay, so now on to one of your other topics on your food, wine, and whiskey. Let's talk about whiskey or bourbon.
Yeah, because when you say whiskey, it's
not just whiskey.
Yeah, you know that primarily I've been into bourbon, and I have, hundreds of bottles of bourbon. And I recently did an episode on why I'm over bourbon.
Right.
And over bourbon, I'll just spoiler for you. Go back and listen to the episode if you'd like to. It's just my reasoning for why I'm not, in this craze anymore, not hunting bourbons anymore.
Exactly.
I still absolutely enjoy the spirit. Love to drink it. Have some really cool bottles. I have more bottles than I could ever drink. So that's one of the reasons that I've slowed down my purchasing of bourbon and chasing bourbon. But the bigger reason is you just can't find it. I mean, you're just going to go out there and waste time and effort, and you're just never going to find it. And if you do, it's just at a ridiculous cost. And that's no pointing fingers at stores or anything. I don't blame them for doing it. It's a capitalist market.
Right.
If somebody's willing to pay it, they should be able to charge it. I'm just not that guy that's going to pay it.
Well, didn't we just hear recently, isn't there like a season for bourbon drops or something where everybody goes crazy about all that, which I remember you were
we're at the tail end of.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's the allocation season. It's when the big distillers who have, their special bottles. For Buffalo Trace, it might be BTAC, which is their Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. And included in there could be their Stag Junior releases. I think it's their second one this time of year. They do 2 a year. They also do some of their E.H. Taylor releases. Weller 12s come out bigger, more in volume this time of year. But then you also have Heaven Hill, who releases some special bottles. Four Roses releases their limited edition. So all of these, this time of year is when you're talking about that craze. It's considered the allocation season.
Yes.
These are limited releases from these distilleries that usually sometime the first couple weeks in October, they start to hit the market through maybe another week or two, in the first couple weeks in January, and then it kind of dies down.
So right into the holiday season.
Yeah, it's the big thing for the holiday. And on that note, we just saw a week ago, or less than a week ago, last Thursday, here in Houston, Specs is a big box store that's throughout the state. It's a local, Texas company.
Kind of like Bevmo.
Bevmo or Total Wine. If you think about that, that's what
that
it is.
Type of
that's
store.
Ours. Texas is Specs for that. Yeah. And each year, they may do it in El Paso and other places, but I know for sure in Austin, Dallas, and Houston, they do a big allocation drop. And it's just gotten crazy. I think they started doing this about 3 years ago.
People line up
for days. They put up tents.
Crazy.
For the chance to buy a bottle of bourbon.
That's insane.
Because you don't always get what you want. You don't always get anything.
Right.
I shouldn't say that. There's things there, but anything you want.
Well, there were people camping out 3 days before.
Yeah, that's what I say.
I can't even imagine.
For bourbon.
I don't know. Okay, so we're talking about 2023, and we're recapping your whiskey, bourbon.
Yeah, so what I would say about that is bourbon I still enjoy. The things that I'm interested in this is kind of going into 2024, so maybe I shouldn't talk about that yet. So here's what I would say about 2023. I didn't do a good enough job exploring other spirits that I've done some shows on that I really enjoyed, but didn't follow up on exploring.
Are you talking like Scotch?
Scotch would be one, and the other one that would jump to mind would be rum.
Oh, rum.
I really enjoyed that episode we did with Tyler and Doug, kind of around the islands, so to speak.
Yes.
And
we found some pretty good rums from that, and we probably should go back and do something like that. But that I would say that's one of the highlights of maybe 2023 was going through the rums, or even in the past years that we went through the rums and the tequilas. Was also another big one that I absolutely enjoyed, because a lot of people think of tequila as just a shooter or margaritas, and there's so much more to it than that.
Definitely a sipping spirit.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's some high quality tequilas out there. The only reason I didn't mention tequila for you, we did the episode, loved it. It's just tequila's still not my thing. You know, it's something you enjoy.
I do.
But for me, I just haven't gotten bitten by the bug yet. Maybe I will. I was that way about Scotch for a while. Now I'm really intrigued and like Scotches that I have. But yeah, tequila, I haven't.
So anything during 2023 that you had in Scotch, whiskey, rum, or something that stood out to you, or that you learned or enjoyed?
No, not necessarily, because I didn't do as a good job of kind of diving into those a little bit deeper. The ones that we had, and typically it would be at a friend's house who would say, hey, I have a bottle of Scotch, you want to try a pour? I would say yes, and then just kind of evaluate the glass and not do a good job of remembering what we were drinking or things like that. So I need to do a better job of that going into 2024.
Well, I have to say, for me, regarding the whiskey, bourbon, and spirits, what I have enjoyed in regards to those is the different types of cocktails you can make and the cocktails that I have tried. Like, I didn't think I liked gin, but in certain drinks, I absolutely enjoy it. There are certain daiquiris that I like, also depending on the type of rum that I'm using. You know, so I have learned that I do like some certain spirits and in cocktails, but it just has to be the right brand, maybe. Is that what I want to say?
Well, and maybe the right cocktail.
And maybe the right cocktail.
How it's put together. But you kind of read my mind there, because that's where I was going to go when you talk about what did I get out of the spirit world in 2023 was cocktails. I've never been a big cocktail guy for the most part. I mean, I would go out somewhere, and if we were going to look at a wine list before dinner and take a few minutes to really find something, maybe I'd order an old-fashioned, and that would be it. That was kind of my go-to, a bourbon-based cocktail. But this past year, we have some good friends who really exposed us to a lot of different cocktails, to your point, with a lot of different spirits.
Right.
You know, really learning what a daiquiri is, because
exactly.
I always thought about the daiquiri was, you want the red daiquiri out of the frozen machine, like
frozen
a margarita.
with the umbrella.
And that's not it.
No.
It is absolutely a delicious and wonderful cocktail made properly.
Right. And I remember
when it's made properly.
One other one was that paper airplane.
Yep, the paper plane is really good.
Paper plane. I said paper airplane.
That's right. What was the other one? The Crescent
Moon.
Yeah, Crescent Moon was really good that we have. I've really come to like a Manhattan. Really enjoy that cocktail. Really come to enjoy the Negroni. Has been a favorite of mine with the vermouth and the Campari and the gin. So cocktails is something that a little letting you know, we're going to do an episode on cocktails. We're going to try to get a couple of mixologists come on and make some cocktails, talk about the world of cocktails, and kind of maybe how to build a bar at home. What are some of the staples you need to have that are very versatile to make, a wider range of cocktails at home? Because I think cocktails are very cool, especially if you're hosting a dinner and you got people coming over, and maybe it's going to be a wine dinner, but when they arrive, kind of cool to have some cocktails for everybody.
Right.
Kind of get the night started with a little cocktail.
That's kind of moving from the whiskey and bourbon that we have. We can use them for other things as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of bourbon-based cocktails. Obviously you mentioned gin, vodka cocktails, rum cocktails. So I think exploring that a lot more is what I got out of 2023 in the whiskey world. Cocktails is something I'm very, very interested in now.
Not so much the hunting of the bourbon and the...
Yeah, like I said, go listen to the episode Why I'm Over Bourbon, and it'll get a little more in-depth as to why, but I kind of touched on a few of those points. Yeah.
Okay, so now the other part of your food, wine, and whiskey, we're going to do the food. I feel like that consumes you so much.
Yeah, if people don't know, I don't do as many episodes on food. To me, it's kind of hard to talk food. We do a series, we haven't done one in a little while, which I think is kind of fun about food, which is the top fives. And a lot of times those are food categories because it's a little easier to kind of rank things and talk about it, why it's there and things like that. But I love food. In the sense that I love to cook.
Yes.
And
I am thankful for that.
Yeah, you're the benefit of that. Or you benefit from that.
Yes.
But yeah, I absolutely love cooking. I love exploring, just all of these things, right? Coffee, wine, whiskey. The exploration is what I enjoy. But I also like finding something that I really enjoy as far as a dish, and then working really hard to try to perfect it, get it to be the best that it can be.
Okay. So what has been then your most memorable meal or food that you've done that you're like, yes, nailed it, loved it, got it?
Man, it might have been a few things, but most recently I would say the beef Wellington we did for Christmas just a little over a week ago.
That was delicious.
I think I nailed the beef Wellington. I think the mushrooms that I now make are really, really good. Do you remember the mushrooms?
Yes, I do.
Or no?
I do remember the mushrooms.
Yeah. And I think, making a really good mashed potato is as it sounds very simple to do, but I think it's not easily done, even though it seems simple. Making a quality, good mashed potato, whether it be flavored with garlic and Asiago cheese or whatever, to me is a very important component of a lot of meals, especially meat-based meals, red meat-based meals.
Absolutely. So
that would be one. One that I think I've done pretty well, and I say pretty well because I'm just not... I kind of say, I haven't... It's because I haven't perfected it yet to what I think it could be or what I think it should be, is the carbonara. It's one of my favorite pastas, but I think I've made it pretty well. I just still think there's room for improvement. I don't think from what I want from it, I haven't hit it yet.
Wow, because I think you've nailed it almost every time you make it.
Yeah.
I think it's delicious. I that's not one I would have said to you.
Well, you're going to say that until I get it to where I want it to be, and then you're going to go, oh, okay, yeah, now this is... So you don't know until you know, right?
Well, I guess not, but I mean, I think it's pretty good.
I don't think any that I've made have been bad by any means. I think they're really, really good. I just think there's some room for improvement. And I may shock you because, not shock you, but I want to go back to guanciale. Because I know. See, you heard her. That's why I knew that was coming. That's why I said shock you. I know you're not the hugest fan of guanciale.
No.
But maybe I'll have to make it separate for me and you because it's, how I want to be authentic. That's the authentic meat that's in carbonara. So if I'm going to perfect this and I have guanciale available, which I do, I probably ought to use it.
Okay. But I'm game. I will try it.
Yeah. But though that would be the dish that I really want to perfect. And it's a simple dish, right? Those that may not know, it's if you've had pasta carbonara at an American restaurant, they're probably not making it the authentic way. By authentic, I mean, it's one of the four pastas of Rome, and it's made really with a few simple ingredients. It's pasta, it's pecorino romano cheese, it's eggs, and it's pepper along with, the guanciale or pancetta if you want to use that in place of it. And that's all it is. And it's still very creamy pasta, but it's the eggs and cheese that you emulsify in the pasta with a little bit of that.
You're not going to get that at Olive Garden.
No, and it's it's a dish that's when it's complete and made and ready to be served, it can't sit in a window. It can't sit there waiting to
Right.
be taken out to the table. It needs to be eaten, and that's a big reason why, the cheat is to make it with cream where it can sit a little bit longer.
So you want to perfect the carbonara.
That's my goal, yes.
Okay.
Because of the 4 pastas of Rome, that's my favorite. I like a cacio e pepe. I can never say the other one, the Americi.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
the red
I don't
version,
know.
the
Yes,
red sauce
I know
version
which
of
one
it.
you're talking about.
People who've listened to the show know I can't pronounce words, English or any other language for that. So,
That's funny.
It's my favorite pasta. When you talk about pastas, it's my favorite.
So,
Carbonara.
what do you like better? Do you like to do more of the appetizers, or is there an appetizer that you like to make, like your staple? Like this is your signature?
I don't know if I have a signature. I think it depends on, that dinner night, what we're doing for dinner, and then the appetizer that might accompany it.
Okay. Well, okay. So now, what dish have you found challenging during 2023 to make? Whether it's a sauce, a dessert, a meal. Have you had anything?
Most recently, a lemon tart. Very, very, I looked at a lemon tart and I go, simple dessert. It's just the crust, pretty easy to make. And you're just going to whip up a little custard and put it in there and all good. Yeah, let's do that. And over the 3-day period, it didn't happen.
No.
We got close,
Yes.
but I couldn't get that custard to set. So,
that has been your most challenging.
well, not most
date.
challenge. It's the most recent challenge that I've had. And it's one that I do want to try again because, I want to be able to nail that. I think it would be good. But most challenging thing that I probably haven't nailed yet would be the coq au vin. I
Yes.
have made coq au vin a couple of times this year, and it's been all right, but it's not been what I think it should be. So that's a recipe that I would like to do a few more times, and this time of year is a good time to do it. I think that's a nice hearty kind
Yes.
of warm kind of meal in the wintertime. So it's one that, now that I'm saying it, we may do it here pretty soon again.
Oh,
Coq
yeah.
au vin was one that each time I've made it, it's been all right, but I don't think I've made it really well.
Yeah.
How about you? Is there one that you like that I make? Is there one that you went, this has got potential, but you need to get a little better at it?
I would say the coq au vin.
Okay.
That's definitely one that it was good, but it could be better.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. Other than that, I really can't think of any other meal that I would say, oh, yeah, it could have been better. I can't think of anything right now.
So you're saying I'm a pretty good cook.
You do pretty good. I mean, really, I say this to a lot of people. I go, you think more about food than than I do. I mean, for me, food was just a way for us to live and get through the day. I had to cook breakfast, lunch, or dinner for the kids, and it was just to get us through the day, and that was it. I didn't put much thought to it. It was just like something I had to do.
Yeah.
But for you tell me all the time, and I found this very interesting this year, that you cook because it relaxes you. It's a way to get you to relax, and you enjoy it. And I'm like, I don't know how you enjoy that. That's so stressful.
Yeah, it really is. If I come home from work and I'm tired, I know a lot of people will like, just give me a drink and let me sit on the couch and watch
That would be
something,
me.
or relax, or give me a book, let me read something with a glass of wine and read my book.
Yes.
For me, it's, let me dice and chop and stir and mix and make something in the kitchen. That puts me at ease. I absolutely love it. Yeah.
And I am grateful for that.
Yeah, you are. But no, I love cooking. I absolutely love to cook. I love cooking with friends. I love cooking for friends. I think being able to share something that you've made and people to enjoy it along with you is one of the best experiences.
Right.
I think that's why chefs, in restaurants do what they do. It's a way to, especially at mom and pop type restaurants. Obviously, it's a business. They're making money from it. And, but if you can have a business with something that you're just really passionate about and love why not? And if you can cook and do that really, really well and share that with your community, man, I love, you and I are that way. We love visiting those types of places.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. And I have to say, one of my most memorable meals, and it wasn't too long ago, it was earlier this fall when we went to visit your family. And
you want me to tell the story?
Grandpa David. Yeah, you can tell the story. Yeah, I love this story.
Yeah.
But I have to say, that was my most wonderful meal because nobody had this meal the way you did it. They've had it before. They've done it before.
Well, they had the boxed version.
But they did. They had the box version. Everybody was like, oh, my God, I didn't know this could be this good.
Yeah, and the way this came about was, when we make trips to Missouri back where I'm from, you said Grandpa David Ford, he's like a father to me. I consider him and his family my family. And every time we go up, we'll go to David's house, and all of his kids and grandkids and great-grandkids will come over, and we'll do a big family meal. And usually in years past, I would just come up with something with Tony and Darren, his two sons. We'd come up with something they wanted me to cook. And this year, we were driving up to Missouri, and I said, let's just call David and see what he wants. And so I gave David a call. And David is, 81 years old. And I said, David, we're going to cook on Sunday after church. What would you like? And he goes, well, and I go, what do you mean, well? Do you have something you'd like? He goes, yeah, I just don't know if I want to ask you for it. And I go, no, David, tell me if I can make it, be happy to make it for you. He goes, I don't want to do that. Hey, David, just tell me what you want. If I can make it, I'll make it. If I can't, I'll tell you. He goes, man, I would really love some beef stroganoff. And I go, really?
Beef stroganoff.
Beef stroganoff. I go, okay, you kind of out of the blue on that one, David. Where did that come from? Is this one of your favorite dishes? Does Marilyn, his wife, does she make this for you frequently and you really like this dish? He goes, well, to be honest with you, I've never had it. And we thought that was the funniest thing, that he's asking for a dish that he's never had. And but anyway, I said, absolutely, I can make that for you. And so I made it. And to be honest, I'd never made this dish before. It was something on our list because of Matt and Yana,
right,
who have made it a few times. We'd never had their version of it, but he'd mentioned it. So I looked up some
We're
recipes.
driving and Googling, how do you make beef stroganoff?
So we made it the authentic way, or so we think, with a big beef tenderloin, the filet mignon, and the egg noodles and mushrooms and all that stuff, and fed 27 people that day with, multiple batches of beef stroganoff, and everybody was pretty pleased with that.
Absolutely. So now beef stroganoff, what region is that originally from?
Russia.
But so now we've hit into the Russian region.
But I think it went back to France, and they did something to it and made it, with the sauce and stuff. And then Russia said, nope, that's ours, and took it back, but kept it. I think that's right, but don't hold me to that.
Okay.
I'm no food history expert.
Okay, so I just love that story because out of the blue, beef stroganoff is what we had. And to be honest, that was the first time I'd ever had beef stroganoff.
Same here.
I'd never even had a box version or anything. And
that's what we were talking about. Everybody's like, wait, you're not using boxes. And we're like, no.
I didn't even know there was a box version.
They were like, we thought it was only made like this. It was just something in a box. And we were like, no, there's actually a true recipe of beef stroganoff.
Which is what got you with cooking from home and everything, always wanting to do things from scratch. Which sometimes drives me a little nutty because I'm like, this is so time consuming. But
it's my time.
It is.
And you have a glass of wine in your hand or a cocktail in your hand, you're always happy.
Yes.
And then when you eat, you're like really happy.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So I know that we have gotten more into the home cooking versus going out to eat or ordering out, although there's an occasion when we get a little tired and don't want to cook. But
there's always a time to go out and have dinner. And, for you and I think the rule is if it's something that I can't cook or don't cook, or it's something that requires, 50 ingredients to make and 3 days, something like that,
Right.
then that's kind of the cuisine we like to go out and enjoy. Otherwise, we don't go to steakhouses. Nothing against them, but I can cook a pretty good steak at home.
Right.
The bigger reason we don't go out to eat is because we enjoy, not that we don't want to support restaurants, but we enjoy our time. And restaurants are in business to make money. And I think it's changed over the last few decades, where it used to be you could go and sit and enjoy and take your time with a meal. But in today's world, everybody's in a hurry, right? And they want to turn tables and get you in, get you out. And, if your reservation's at 6, they want the next reservation for that table at 7. So we're kind of wired a little differently. When we go to dinner or we have a dinner, we want to sit and enjoy. It's about the people we're sharing that meal with and visiting and conversing and laughing and having a glass or a bottle or 2 bottles of wine, something like that.
Right. So I also, speaking of home cooking, you have gone into this past year cooking a lot of pizzas. Yeah,
so we've done pizzas for a while. We have a pizza oven out back that I built, a brick oven pizza, which is fun to cook on, but it takes a while to get that baby up.
Right.
And then about 1.5 years ago, I asked you for an uni pizza oven, which you got me. And I'll tell you this, there's no sponsorship from uni, but they make fantastic little ovens. So I have the 16-inch Coda from uni, and it's just a wonderful oven. But been into pizza, obviously, who doesn't like pizza, right? Everybody enjoys pizza. But I've like coffee and like wine and like whiskey. I went down that rabbit hole of different styles of pizzas from different regions. Some in Italy, in the Naples area, the Neapolitan and things like that is kind of the benchmark standard for that style of pizza. But then how, regions in the States have taken pizza and made it their own with their styles, whether it's Chicago deep dish that some people might not say is actually pizza, more of a pie, tomato sauce pie or whatever they call
lasagna.
Lasagna? Not really lasagna. I think they call it more of a pie.
A pie.
Because Detroit style pizza, they have St. Louis style pizza. You have, obviously New Haven, Connecticut is very famous for their pizza, coal-fired pizza. New York style, which is probably my favorite style of pizza here in the States. You have bar pie, which we're fans of from the Boston area. Mm-hmm. Kind of that tavern type pizza. And so there's just this big world, people, I think, like we talked about earlier, people would just go pizza. Let's get pizza tonight. We'll order something. And it was always just a Domino's or a Pizza Hut or back in the day, maybe Godfather or something like that. Where I think today's world, a lot of people order from pizzerias. Local places that are making their own dough, not having it sent in from wherever, frozen or whatever. And so if I'm going to go out to eat and explore and do something, pizza joints are a place that I like to go because I love seeing what they're doing with their doughs and their sauce and the cheese. And I mention that because that's the trinity of a pizza, right? Those are the 3 ingredients you have to have on a pizza.
The dough?
I say have to, maybe not have to, but for a traditional pizza. Yeah, the dough, the sauce, and cheese. And, that's very general, right? Because you can have different kinds of sauces, cooked sauces, non-cooked sauces, what you put in your sauce. You can have different kinds of cheeses, blended cheeses, low fat, low moisture, whole milk, all these different kinds of cheeses. So, how you do it is kind of your unique way of making pizza, and I like to go explore that. How are pizzerias, local shops, making their standard cheese pie?
Well, I have to say, my favorite ingredient that I've learned this year
is a cheese,
but it's a ricotta.
Yeah.
I love ricotta cheese on my pizza. I didn't think I would, but I absolutely love ricotta cheese.
Yeah, and now you've changed it from just being little dollops that I would put on there.
I don't want little dollops.
No, I have to pipe it on.
I want a lot of ricotta cheese.
Yeah, you've changed. But no, I absolutely love pizza. I think pizza is it's something that's really fun to make. What I mean by that is having a pizza party at home, if you get a little oven like an Uni or there's other brands out there, but having a few people come over where you can have this pizza building station and, whether it's kids or not, but everybody can get involved in making a pizza and cooking a pizza. And that's kind of a fun experience. One of the things we're getting ready to do, and I put it out on our social media, is that, I'd like to host a backyard pizza bake where we have some of our friends who make pizzas at home with, their dough recipes, their kind of favorite pies, their creations. Get a few of them to come over and some other friends, and everybody's just making different pizzas, and we get to experience what, everybody likes to make. What's their favorite pizza, favorite toppings, and then obviously with some of the classics as well. Your cheese, your pepperoni, what's the one with the basil and the tomato? Margarita. Yeah, boy, I couldn't think of that. And just do that. I think that would be a lot of fun, and people would enjoy that. So that's something we're trying to put together.
Yeah, sounds good.
So if you're listening and you're in the Houston area and you're into pizza, like I said, reach out to us. Find us on our Facebook page, Food, Wine, and Whiskey, or the website, foodwinewhiskeyi.com, and send me a message. If you're in the area and you'd like to come. If you're not in the area and you want to travel to Houston, hit me up. Love to have you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. We're always looking to find new people. Yeah. Meet new people who are interested in food just as much as we are.
Or wine, whiskey.
Or whiskey, or coffee, or
yeah, there you go.
Have new ideas for new things. Okay.
But I will tell you that Italian food, the more I've explored it, is absolutely my favorite cuisine so far. And I want to explore. I don't think a lot of people, I think most people in America, if you said Italian food, they're going to say pizza and pasta. Not realizing the diversity of cuisines that run through those 20 regions of Italy from the north to the south. There's places where you can get.
Is there a region that you found right now in 2023 that you're like, yes, love it?
Up north in, Piedmont, going over to the Veneto, where they do a lot of meats in Italy, dried, cured meats. They do a lot of risottos. They do a lot of polenta. They have some different types of stews and things they make up there that I want to explore a lot more. I like making a risotto. I like making polenta. I do it my way, but I'd like to find some Italian recipes for how they utilize these ingredients, what dishes they make, and try to do some of those as we go forward into 2024.
Okay. And any French foods that you're
you're bringing that up. I know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yep.
So if people have listened to this show for a while, there was a period of time that I would give the French a hard time.
Just a little bit.
Just a little. I would give them credit for, sauces and techniques and baking, but I would question whether there was a whole lot more to their cuisine. What do they really offer? And I think that was shame on me. I'll eat crow for that because it was a lack of knowledge on my part. I was ignorant. I didn't know all the different, everybody would tell me, but here in the States, you don't see a lot of French bistros, French restaurants. And I get why. A lot of their dishes are very technique driven, and there's a lot of steps, maybe not a lot of ingredients, but a lot of steps and sometimes a lot of time. And like, as we just mentioned a little while ago. Well, as we just mentioned a little while ago, the time. Restaurants don't have that kind of time to prepare a meal. They want to turn tables.
Right.
So that doesn't kind of line up with how the approach they want to having a successful restaurant. So French bistros might not be the thing here in the States. Because, again, we're in a hurry. You go to France, you probably sit down for 3 hours and have a meal. They don't care. But here, I want to turn it over and get you out. That's another show. I have, as you can tell, I have some issue with it. Anyway, but I do owe them an apology because I did some research at the nudging of my wife and some other friends and found the French cuisine to be absolutely fantastic, which makes me think of another recipe that I nailed one time, didn't nail another time, but I want to make it again and try to really nail it again. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
The quenelles. Mm-hmm. First time I made them, I nailed them.
Delicious.
Absolutely fantastic.
Delicious.
The second time, no,
Not
they kind of
so
fell
much.
apart on me, so I couldn't poach them the way I needed to. But so the French have some fantastic recipes. They have some fantastic cooking techniques. They use a variety of different proteins, whether it's red meats with steaks and short ribs. They do a lot of seafood and obviously a bunch of chicken. So I mean, there's just some fantastic recipes. And I did find on YouTube, and I'll give this channel a shout out because I think he's great. The French Cooking Academy on YouTube.
Okay.
The guy really has just fantastic recipes, and he does a really good job of simplifying, making these dishes. And it's really, I love watching him getting those recipes, and then that's usually where I find the recipes now and then try to make them. That's where I got the quenelles.
Well, I was wondering where you found that. I'd never even heard of anything like that.
Well, I actually heard of it from Tyler Martin when they were in New York City at a dinner. They had it up there, and he sent me a picture, and I said, I don't know what they are, and he's like, look it up. Well, I looked it up on YouTube, and what came up was the French Cooking Academy.
Ah.
And I went, makes sense, right? It's a French dish from Lyonnaise, France.
Yeah.
So I looked it up and ended up using that recipe to make it, which I love. And people might be going, what the heck is it? I don't know if we should tell them. Maybe they should have to go look it up because it's really a unique and cool dish. It is.
It's delicious.
It is, again, we talked about, time consuming and things like that because it's a 2-day process. You make the quenelles one day, or the pate that will eventually be the quenelles one day, and then you actually cook and make the dish the following day. So there's a little time involved in making this dish. But I will tell you, if you make it the right way, well worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Really, really good.
That was very good. I forgot about the quenelles. Those were absolutely delicious.
Yeah. So 2023, I eat crow and say, I apologize to the French. It's not very often Americans apologize to the French. Just kidding. But I do. I apologize to the French because their cuisine is absolutely stellar. It's fantastic. I was an idiot, and I will continue to explore and make dishes from the French cuisine.
Now,
yeah,
you won't say that about the wine because you absolutely love French wine.
Yeah, absolutely. Does that mean we're transitioning?
We're transitioning now to the wine. Okay. So, what was your? I guess they have that game, the Thorn and Rose wine. Well, like Rose is like your best wine, and Thorn is maybe not so good wine.
I thought you were going to go Sleep Mary.
No.
Okay, glad you didn't go there. You made me nervous.
No. What is your rose of French wine? Like, what's the best?
Well, there is no best.
Okay, maybe region.
Okay, so what's my favorite region right now? Okay.
Maybe of wine, not necessarily French wine.
Oh, well, then that's different because, again, you're getting around the world. Let's just talk wine in general in 2023.
Let's talk wine.
What I enjoyed.
What did you enjoy in 2023?
I will tell you in 2023, I made a huge jump from being so heavy in red wines and a little bit of white wines to I'm probably 60-40 white wines now to red wines. Even in the winter, I thought this winter my white wine consumption would drop significantly. It hasn't.
Nope.
I still just enjoy white wines so much. I think they're very versatile. I think they're great with foods. I think there's so many different expressions of white wines from different varieties. I'm absolutely enjoying the journey, the exploration through the world of white wine. I
have to tell you, I am too. I mean, I when I say I liked white wines, I like Sauv Blancs.
Yeah.
And now I love a Chardonnay. I love a Chablis, a Chenin Blanc. I love them all.
Yeah, and you mentioned a couple already, and I'm with you on the Chardonnay because, we broke into wine in the States in Napa, and Chardonnay wasn't our thing. Sauvignon Blanc is what we enjoyed from Napa. Crispier, didn't have that buttery, oaky finish like a
Right.
Chardonnays from there did years ago. We haven't drank a California Chard in a while, so I think I've heard that a lot of producers have changed that profile. Maybe they have. We probably
need to
give it another
explore.
shot. Yeah, we need to explore it a little bit more. But Chardonnays in general, I think, can be beautiful, beautiful wines from different regions. I think a lot of people will say Chardonnay is that blank canvas that the winemaker can have a huge influence on as to what you actually get in the glass. And you mentioned Chablis, one of our favorite regions now, which is also part of Burgundy, part of Chardonnay. It is a Chardonnay, just has its own region there, and it's Chablis. But Chenin Blanc, we absolutely love from the Loire Valley, from South Africa. We love Chenin Blanc. Champagne, we got more into. Chris Rowland.
Oh my gosh.
Got us into Champagne, and we have not looked back. And
no.
On that note, I will say not just Champagne. Champagne is fantastic. Champagne can be a little pricey. We've gotten to where we love the exploring of sparkling wines in generals.
Absolutely.
Cremants being one. Yeah. Cremants are, for those who may not know, it's the method in making it is exactly the same as Champagne. It's just not made in that region, so it can't be called Champagne. So it's Cremant d'Alsace or Cremant de Bourgogne from Burgundy. Means it's from that region, but it's a sparkling wine made in the same method as Champagne.
Okay, so let's talk white wines then and see which one has stood out to you.
Boy, a lot, Sandra, because we went through a lot. I'll name a few that stood out to me. Chablis really stood out. I mean, I love Chablis. Albarreño, I love a lot from Spain. I would say Suave Classico from the Veneto.
Yes.
I absolutely love that. Gavi from Piemonte. Really, really love that. I have grown this year to absolutely love Gruner Veltliner from Austria. And it's gotten me to wanting to explore more wines from Austria and red wines from there as well. Riesling still. Love
Riesling.
Rieslings. And then just kind of indigenous grapes from different regions like, Pecorino, which is not the cheese. It's a grape from Italy. Pecorino, the Ribolla Giolla from Italy.
Have I had these?
Yeah.
Well, then I need to have some more.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
That's one of the things that I enjoy is indigenous grapes. I think that's becoming very, very popular, that people are exploring wines from regions that have grapes that are, known to grow and do well in that region. I think, go back 20 years ago, people wanted certain wines of the world made from, these grape of kings, if you will, the Chardonnays, the Rieslings, the Sauvignon Blancs, the Cabernet Sauvignon, the Merlots, the Pinot Noirs. But I think now there's a lot of varieties that do really, really well where they're from and can make beautiful wines. And I think wine drinkers are embracing that and wanting to explore those wines as well, which I'm one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would also say white wines, I think that's about it. Can you think of anything else from a white wine?
That we've enjoyed?
Yeah, that 2023 that stood out to you?
Well, are we talking... I see, when you say that, I just remember the Suave Classico. Those absolutely love.
Beautiful wines.
Love them. And there was one called the Vera.
Well, that's from Portugal.
Okay,
Vinho
from
Verde.
Portugal.
Yeah.
Okay, that one, love.
Inexpensive white wine, just really refreshing.
Love,
really
love.
Clean, crisp, nice wine, yeah.
And then Chardonnay. We just had one that blew me away. And we just had it a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
That was the Pouilly Fumé.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that. And I also like a Pouilly Fusue.
Which is Sancerre.
Sancerre, then yes.
The Sauvignon Blanc.
Love that.
Yeah. So those two are kind of similar names, but different grapes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So those would be my highlights.
Yeah, I would say, here recently, I just, if you look at our library a few weeks ago, we did a show. I did a show with Kevin Day from Opening a Bottle on all sauce wines. And so I will tell you, just having done that episode and him and I drinking some wines that were provided from the Wines of All Sauce, very nice of them to do that. Pinot Gris, was something I was never that interested in, but the one we had from there was stunning. And it has triggered in me the want to explore Pinot Gris a little bit more, especially from Alsace, and then maybe from some other regions like Oregon and things like that as well.
I would too.
Yeah, it's really nice wine. Really nice wine. Red wines for me this year.
Well, okay.
Yeah. One
that I know we tried early on was those. What are those called with the cork, the bottle cap?
Pet nats.
Pet nats. That seemed to have been a rage for a while. I don't know if it was, if it still is or not.
Just a quick fad.
Yes, and we tried a couple. I am not a fan. That would be like the big thorn in 2023 as far as wine tasting.
That would be your thorn.
Yes.
Okay.
I was not a fan, did not like them. Maybe I didn't try the right ones, but we tried a few of them, quite a few, and didn't find one that we liked. Even an orange wine. Didn't we try an orange?
We tried one orange wine. We probably didn't try that a lot, but again, it wasn't so. And people who may not know, orange wine is just a white wine grape that is, has maceration on its skins. So you get some color to it, which is typically this orange tint, and that's why it's called an orange wine. The style, though, is that it spends some time on the skins.
So maybe we need to go revisit.
Yeah, but maybe. I just wasn't intrigued enough to...
Something for 2024?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, pet nats didn't do it for me. Again, if you don't know what a pet nat is, it's champagne is 2 fermentations, second one in bottle, and then you filter out the lees, the yeast, the dead yeast. Pet nat is 1 fermentation. They leave that bottle cap on, and they just serve it like that, very young. The yeast stays in the bottle, so when you turn it upside down, you might see some floaties in there. That's the yeast that's in there. It's not going to hurt you or anything, but that's what it is. It's inexpensive. And to me, like you said, we just didn't find one that was good, so... I've lost that want to explore that anymore. Now, having said that, we had the same experience with Cremants when we first started. We had a couple, we didn't like them, but we've had some people, and that's probably the key, is we had people make recommendations to us that we did try, and we went, okay, now we found some really good ones.
So let's ask our audience that if they know of any good pet nats or recommend any good pet nats,
send them
let
our
us
way.
know.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that. I was trying to think of a thorn, but I think you're right. I think the pet nat was probably the biggest one. You and I are very open-minded. We're, I would make that suggestion to everybody who's trying to explore wine and wants to explore wine, is don't have any expectation for what you're about to drink. Even if it's a grape that because sometimes the style, the winemaker, the region can influence what that is. The region can be what that style is from that region, and you go to a different region, same grape, but it's a different style because of the terroir and the climate that's there.
Right.
So to me, always have just an open mind and try to appreciate that wine for what it is from where it's from, But we try to do a good job of that. So it's very, very rare that we just find something that we just go, no, we might find one wine from a region that we don't like, and that could
just
be
like
winemaker
wine
style, or it could be the quality or whatever. But for the most part, we're pretty open. We're not like some people who go,
I'm not drinking Merlot.
Yeah, good one. I will say right now for white wines, there's a region that I don't like very well, and that's New Zealand. But I did pick up the number 15 wine in the world from Wine Spectator. That New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. So we'll try one of those. But it just doesn't fit my profile. Not that they're not good wines, just very grassy, the grapefruit is too forward for me.
Yes.
It's not a profile I like. A lot of
I think
people
there was
love
only
that.
one that I tried, and it was years ago from New Zealand
Yeah.
that I absolutely loved.
Some of their Pinot Noirs I love. So.
There's that.
But yeah, I think you nailed it with Cremants. That's probably the thorn of the white wines from...
Not Cremants.
I mean, not Cremants, Pet Nats from 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did not enjoy those.
Red wines, quickly, I would just say, we are continuing to love Pinot Noir. Getting into wine in Napa, you get into the bigger, bolder Cabernets and Shiraz and Petit Shiraz and Merlots. A lot of Zinfandels. Pinot Noir wasn't one we really enjoyed getting into wine. But as we explored the world and, the Chalonnais in Burgundy or the Yarra Valley in Australia, Santa Barbara now, we have found, get out of Napa, go down south. Even on the Sonoma coast, we found a few producers we like for Pinot Noir. So really have...
I think our palate has developed or changed with that, because I don't know if it's been any different in those areas that we start liking them, but it's because our palate has changed, and
that's fair.
Which is good for us.
Are you saying we're more sophisticated with our wine palates?
I don't know if sophisticated, but our palate has changed.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because I think when we were trying those before, we were more cab heavy, more drinking more of that, and so that profile didn't suit us.
That's fair. I would agree
with that. And I think now that we've tried and done more wine tastings and tried different areas and different grapes and different varietals, and I think it's helped develop a different palate for that now.
I would also say I still love exploring Italy for reds and whites, but
I love Italian
reds.
wines.
Yeah, I mean, I think whites are under the radar, underrated, and I say under the radar, I just mean by they're just not known as well.
Right.
When
you think Italian wines, you think
red.
Red.
Yeah, for the most part. But I think the reds that they have there's some areas, Campania is doing some great things. Abruzzo is great. Sicily, a region that, again, Kevin Day from Opening a Bottle, introduced me to, Alto Adige. Some beautiful red and white wines from there. So there's really, when you think about Italy, I think most people go to Tuscany with your Chianti Classicos and your Brunellos, and then they go to Piemonte with your Barolos, and then a lot of times you'll hear about, winter wines, the Amarone up in the Veneto. But I think there's some other great regions for drinking wine, and I think Sicily's fantastic. I think Umbria has some great wines. Some Sagrantinos are some big wines that can be really, really good. Abruzzo, like I mentioned, the Montepulciano di Abruzzo, which is the grape, is fantastic.
Those are delicious.
Yeah. So Italy is, probably my favorite region.
I have to say, I think that has been a big thing this past year, 2023, is trying so many more Italian reds and varietals and from different areas.
Sweet wines, too.
Yes.
Yeah. Spain, we've gotten into more with red wines. Tempranillo, Grenache. We've really explored Spain. There's another varietal there that I can never say it. The Real de Larba. I can't say it. But that's one that we have a couple bottles of we haven't tried yet. But I've really enjoyed what we've had from Spain. I think it's a great region, high quality wines, great value with some age. So, I mean, just if you're not drinking wines from Spain, it should be something that you look into because it's great value for high quality aged wines, if you like some age on your wine.
And who doesn't?
Yeah. And in that area, I would say Portugal's a place that we're starting to explore. You mentioned the Vino Vero. And the red wines, the red still wines that are coming out of Portugal are right now not very expensive, but very high quality. So, I mean, Portugal should be someplace, if you're not, checking them out, should put on your list and look at your local wine shops and see if you can find some wines from Portugal. France, we still love the Rhone Valley, northern and southern Rhone. We
Yes.
love, obviously, we've talked about Champagne and Burgundy with the Chardonnay and the Pinot Noir, but we also love the Loire Valley. We mentioned a little bit about Sancerre, and we love Cab Franc with the Chinon, and we love Chenin Blanc from there. We love you mentioned it, the Poulet Fumé.
Yes.
So, it's something that we really, really enjoy.
I want to say, you really, really enjoy a lot of those Rhone Valley wines. I'm starting to enjoy them a little bit more. It wasn't really my flavor profile or taste profile, however you want to say that, because I think I was still stuck in the Italian wines. I'm starting to appreciate more and more these French wines, although I do like the white.
Do you remember what grapes are used in the Rhone Valley? Predominantly, it's Syrah, Mourvedre, and Grenache.
Maybe that's
Northern
why, because
Rhone's
I'm not
Syrah heavy. Southern Rhone usually leads with Grenache.
okay, and those are grapes that I have a hard time with.
Okay, fair enough. The other region in France that I've started to explore, a couple of friends have introduced me to, and I didn't even know about this, was the Jura, which is kind of north of Burgundy. But if you remember, we went out to dinner to that Thai restaurant and had that Sauvignon, which is a beautiful white wine that is, worthy of aging. And the one we had was from 2006.
Yes.
And stunning, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they make some great, that grape is what they're known for there because it's just this age-worthy white wine. But they also make some beautiful Chardonnay that you can get at a pretty good price, and same with Pinot Noir. So it's just another region. Everybody will say Burgundy's getting expensive. What's the option for Pinot Noir if you can't get it from Burgundy? The Jura might be a place that you might look at, but also Alsace, France.
Alsace.
Yep, they just got. I think they just got approved for a couple Grand Crus for Pinot Noir. So you're going to see some. They've been making Pinot Noir for a while. But I think you're going to start seeing it imported here more and kind of globally more as a region that's making some high quality, really good, hopefully more affordable Pinot Noir.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So that's
things to look forward to.
Yeah. The only other thing I would say that 2023, what have I gotten into in the wine world a lot more probably, is fortified wines. And we can finish on that. You haven't, I have.
Correct.
Yeah, I absolutely love fortified wines with, ports and Madeiras probably being my favorite.
Right. I'm still on the fence with those.
Yeah.
Those are a little bit harder for me.
But don't let my wife discourage you. I'm telling you. Go out.
A lot of people love those.
And there's just a wide spectrum that you can get. You can get very sweet ones that are more, dessert-driven type wines. And that's another category. Dessert wines are something that we really explored and enjoyed. From Reciotos from northern Italy to Vinsantos from the Tuscany area to Sauternes in France to Tokai in Hungary. I mean, dessert wines, if you're into that, are fantastic. Really, really enjoy a good dessert wine.
Well, speaking of dessert wines and wines in general, one thing that I absolutely will take away in the year 2023 and learning about wine and drinking wine and food is that I didn't realize how well a Riesling would go with spicy food. It is the best type of pairing, whatever type Riesling you have. Whatever you like.
Well,
as far
what
as
you
a
would
Riesling.
say is you don't want it to be a bone dry Riesling. You want some residual
it has to
sugar.
be a little sweeter. Yes. And with some spicy food, that's one of my takeaways, I guess, from 2023 is how well a Riesling will go with spicy food. It's absolutely amazing. And I don't ever find food and wine to be paired well together. There's some things that, yes, that goes so good. Yeah. But that is my takeaway for 2023 is that Rieslings and spicy food.
Well, I would say on that note,
well.
I used to not be a big wine and food pairing kind of guy. just because I just thought it was more of a hype kind of thing or whatever. But I'm wrong about that. But I'm not wrong that you shouldn't overthink it. Most wines go with most foods. You don't really have to overthink it. There are some general rules that should be applied. But I will say that when you apply those general rules, not specific wines, but just characteristics of wines with the food you're having, can be an absolutely beautiful thing. So
it's not like you have to have this wine with this food. It's just
usually it's more acid driven. You want a lot of acid in your wine when you're having whatever kind of food, unless you're getting into a fatty, rich kind of. Then you might want even then, acid can be good to help cut through that. But then if you're talking about a big fatty steak, you might want some tannins to cut through that. But, I mean, again, simple rules like that. But really, it's just about having, pretty good acid level in your wine. You should be okay. Most wines are, again, pretty versatile. But there are some things, some profiles that, even though they do have acid from this region paired with this dish, can be beautiful. Not that other ones wouldn't work. They would work. But this particular one can be really nice. We've enjoyed exploring that a little bit and found some really nice things.
Hopefully we'll learn more about that in 2024.
Yeah, so let's talk about that just quickly as we close out this episode.
Absolutely.
I do want to say that we would love to try to get our listeners more involved in the podcast, in what we do on the show, maybe suggestions for shows, maybe guests on shows. We've talked about this a few times in the past. It's never really kind of happened, but I'm going to continue to ask if you listen to the show and you have some ideas for episodes. Again, you can go to the website and contact me through there, foodwinewhiskey.com. Leave some ideas and thoughts. We're going to want to get more engagement on our website. If you go to our website now, obviously it's a spot that you can get all of our episodes for the show. We put up some photo galleries of what we're cooking at home, and I do make mention that if you would like to have a recipe, just reach out. I'd be happy to share it with you. I'm not going to try to post every recipe on the website. That would get to be a lot, but if somebody sees a dish and they go, man, I'd like to make that, I'd be happy to share. And then I do give some wine thoughts, what we're drinking, what I think about it. I'll give the producer how much I paid for the bottle, and then I categorize them under, the regions that they're from. And I should say more specifically the countries that they're from, not necessarily region. I keep it general to countries. But I'd like to try to get the website. I don't know exactly what I want to do. I have a few ideas, but more interactive or something else on there that when you go to the website, is there something, when you hear the podcast, Food, Wine, Whiskey, is there something else you'd like to see? Maybe it is recipes. I don't know. But I'd love to get some feedback if listeners are willing to give it on what would you like to see on the website. What would be good if, when you went there for whatever reason, to have what information as well, so once you got there, you'd spend a little time looking at something. What would you like to see?
What else would you like to see on the website? Let us know.
Yeah, for sure. And then we're going to try to get more into video this year.
Yes.
So we're going to start not only recording the podcast in the audio format that we do now, but we're going to try to record every episode in video as well. And we'll probably not release the entire episode on YouTube. We're probably going to cut it up into 10, 15-minute segments on different topics, but it will be available on YouTube. And then we're going to do some different shows driven specifically to YouTube, going out to restaurants, going to wineries, going to coffee shops, different things like that. So we're going to do that as well. What else for 2024? Do we have anything else? Tea. We're going to get into tea, which I think is a good thing too.
So if anybody has any ideas of tea or brewing tea.
Are we going to try the British version?
Absolutely. We'll try them all.
Do you know what that means?
With milk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, nice. I was wondering if you'd be open to that.
Absolutely.
Okay, very cool. But yeah, so we're going to try to get some more content out in some different places, specifically YouTube, as we get into 2024. And we are going to, we're going to ask to try to get listeners more involved. And by the way, if you're in the Houston areas, we get a lot of listens in Houston. If you're in the Houston area, I was wondering if anybody would be interested in a meetup, trying to put together. We know a lot of restaurant owners. we've done a few times, bottle shares at restaurants where we curate a menu and do a share. If you're interested in that, if you're in the Houston area, go to the website, leave me a message there again. And if that's something we get enough response on, I'd love to put something together and maybe meet some folks that listen to the show that we haven't had a chance to meet yet.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Love that.
Well, fun recap.
Yes, I think it's been a good year.
It's been a really fun year, 2023. I think you and I have grown leaps and bounds. You know, we kind of had this steady growth in our wine and food journey, and I think 2023 was really a bit of an explosion for a lot of things that we kind of dove into and explored.
Yes.
We will take it the next step going into 2024. But yeah, looking forward to doing that. By the way, I tell you I love to cook. YouTube, you'll probably see some cooking videos there from me. So that's another thing that we're going to do. We're going to make it a variety of shows related to food, wine, and whiskey.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that was a lot of fun, Sandra.
It was.
Thanks for coming on. You're just a natural. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of Food, Wine, and Whiskey. And until our next episode, enjoy your next pour.